Hey guys, so before we get into today's interview, just a quick announcement to make. As you're listening to this next Tuesday, which is September 2nd or 3rd, one of those.
Wes, you're always on top of it. I love it.
Yeah. We will be having another Suited Kings meetup game on Clubs Poker. There will be another 55 sweeps coins tournament and a 25-50 cent or
Sweeps coins
ring game going on. So if you want to play some online with us, please jump in that. If you have not signed up for Clubs Poker yet, please use the link that's going to be in the description or on our Twitter account or in our Discord, which if you haven't joined Discord yet, join that as well.
Yeah, if you want to support the podcast, please use that affiliate link. That would help us out a ton. And two things I want to add to that, Wes. First off is so I won last times, somehow won it. Whoever actually wins the tournament this time, I'll hook you up with that sweet name change color in Discord. You can be the home game king or whatever until the next person dethrones you. And then secondly, whoever knocks Wes' first bullet out of that event, I will Venmo $25 too.
Okay. You heard it here.
Yeah. So hopefully it's me taking on. I'll just keep my own.
Yeah. Lastly, we swear it's not rigged, even though we went 1-2 last time. That did happen. There were only like 16 players though.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. So we got an exciting episode today, Wes.
We do. Why don't you tell the people what's on the docket?
Yeah, so we have a very special guest. It's someone who's been in the poker scene for a long time. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him or his name, if not him. Before I introduce him, though, I'll go over some of his accolades. I know he's a pretty humble dude from the few interactions I've had with him. So starting off with his total earnings, $8.77 million in earnings. He's got a career best cash of $1.12 million. He has 17 World Series of Poker circuit rings to his names and 3 WSOP bracelets. I need to take a couple extra breaths because we still got a lot more to get through here on that. He has won an APT event, an HBT event, a WPT event, an Aussie Millions event, a Sherpo event, an MSPT event, an EPT event, and has 58 live recorded wins through Hendon Mob. So I would love to take this time to introduce our guest, Ari Engel. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for the nice intro. And I'm really lucky Hendon Mob doesn't keep track of buy-in. So
well, you know what I mean in terms of humble?
Yeah. I will say you're definitely the highest Hendon Mob earner that we've had on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know you know Josh Reichard. I'm sure you guys have battled a lot over the days in World Series of Poker circuit events. We had him on previously. I'm not sure if you heard that episode or not, but he spoke very highly of you on there as well, and we've been waiting to get you on ever since.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Josh, and actually, when you said like highest Hendon Mob, I was just thinking like highest current, but probably out of all your guests. If we're going to talk about how it ends up, I think I would probably take Josh in the long run, but we'll see. He doesn't play nearly as much as me, but just wins every time he plays. So it's one of those things where, if we keep up the like 25-1 entry ratio, maybe I'll stay ahead.
You have a chance.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love your humility regarding it as well. You both of you guys have that same mindset, and you're both two of the biggest crushers. So maybe there's something aligned with that.
Yeah, I even sort of associated you guys together just because you both have so many WSOP rings too. I feel like I wouldn't have known that you play that much more than him, because I guess on top of the WSOP circuit, you're always playing.
I haven't paid rent or mortgage since 2012. So I have just, and basically all that time has been probably like 90% live tournaments outside of the like COVID shutdown period. Mm-hmm. I always would go for like a couple of weeks a year for the big online series and go, leave the country and play those. And once legal online poker started in America, I'll go to the states that have legal online and play for a weekend or, a week or something like that. But most of that time has been playing live poker tournaments. So, and Josh like really doesn't play very much at all. It's like, they have like circuits he's from Wisconsin, so they'll have circuit events in Wisconsin, not so much anymore. And Chicago
They might
area.
be getting
It's
him
just-
back though. I heard there might be
yeah,
an
so, like,
MSPT there later this year.
if they get them back, he's like,
You're
there's like,
screwed. Yeah, he's popping up that list.
Yeah.
yeah, he's like 1.2 rings per Wisconsin series event. That's his
That's insane.
expectation.
Well,
So,
speaking of rings, Mr. Wesley here just got his second. I guess it's been a year
was a
now.
year ago,
Dude.
yeah. Yeah.
That's weird how fast time goes. That's because we got Council Bluffs in a couple weeks here.
Yep. Yeah. Are you going to be in Council Bluffs?
I'm not sure yet. I don't make long run plans. But yeah, I was there last year. I think that's where we met, Max.
That is
maybe.
right. That is where I met you. You were right. That is correct.
So yeah, it used to be, so when WSOP used to have like a different format for their free roll tournament, and Wisconsin and Council Bluffs was towards the end of the series and one of the like smaller turnout places. So it would be like all of us that were chasing the leaderboard points. You had to get in the top 50 in the leaderboard to get in. And then there were 50 other qualifiers for like if you won the main event or whatever. But Council Bluffs was always like a must play one for those of us chasing the leaderboard, which I did for quite a few years. And so yeah, I always like playing there. And we'll see.
That's tough, man, because Josh had said the same thing, just about how much more fun it was back in the day when they had things set up like that, those incentives to how it has changed. I mean, I guess in contrast to how it is today. Yeah. So I don't want to dog on WSOP circuit too much. I still enjoy going to play those events and look forward to doing that as well.
I mean, I don't blame them. It's like they're putting up the same million, and to me, if I was running it, it makes more sense to spread that million over 1,000 people than it does only 100 people. And
okay,
so
that
like
makes sense.
now it goes to every single ring winner, and I think in general it makes sense to reward not the highest volume players. So like those kind of leaderboard things really reward people like me.
Okay.
And that doesn't, you shouldn't really be like putting your marketing dollars into like the highest volume players. I don't think, even though personally
People who
I
are
like
going to
it.
play a lot regardless.
Right. Well, so like their idea was, and it's true that it does incentivize us to play even more, and go to a WSOP circuit instead of MSPT or HPT when it was around and stuff like that. So there definitely is some incentive, and also like gets like the re-entries like really going. So I can kind of understand where that comes from. And then also just because you're high volume doesn't necessarily mean like you're a big winner. So in that sense, like I definitely think like rewards shouldn't go to the biggest winners. So it's a little bit of a tough balance to strike, but it's great. I think we've really seen it in the last year. Things have, so the circuit has been doing this $1 million thing for quite a while now, but MSPT started this partnership with WPT,
Yes,
and
sir.
they're giving away something. And Run Good started a partnership with NAPT, they're giving away. Borgata has this mixed game series, and they're giving away stuff coming up. So it's nice. It's nice seeing more extra value to players.
I saw your tweet out recently was it about the Borgata and about how you're excited, how that they had a really good schedule coming up for mixed games? Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Basically probably starting the same day as your online meetup group. So you can go to the meetup group the next day. I know probably not, it's more of a Midwest crowd, so I'm not sure how many will end up in Borgata, but yeah, I think it's September 3rd. Every day for like 10 days, there's a mixed game tournament. There also is like, there's the big field no limit to start, 600 with multiple flights and all that leading up to a nice main event. And but from the mixed game, it's like 8, 9, or 10 events, something like that, and no breaks. So that's really good for like traveling people, where like every day there's something. And I think they take out $5 per entry for a leaderboard. I'm not sure what the exact number is, some amount, but not too big. But then they match 100% of that amount.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then there's, I think it pays like the top 4 or 5 spots for that like nine mixed game series. So so yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, I enjoy the mixed games a lot. So it's tough to like, of course, like the turnouts in mixed games are always much smaller. So I don't blame venues when they don't run them, but I really try and try and support the ones that do.
Well, we're going to be all over the place today because it's just kind of how we work around here. So let's keep on this topic for a minute, Ari. Mixed games seem to have been blowing up in popularity over the last few years here. It seems like a lot more people are being interested in mixed games. I noticed the WSOP has streamed a lot more mixed games now as well, so people are learning how to play the games easier. It's more available for them to learn. What is your favorite mixed game, or hold on, back up. What's your favorite game? Is it No Limit Hold'em, or is it a mixed game, and which game specifically?
I like to play any game when there's two people at the table. If there's three people, I like it a little less. If we get to like nine-handed, I like it even less.
You're a
So
heads-up specialist.
I'm not a heads-up specialist. I just like not folding. So
That's
and
fair.
they don't punish you as much. When you don't fold nine-handed, it doesn't work out so well. Um, so um, so yeah, so basically, I like to play hands, and that's always been kind of my Achilles heel because I started playing online, and I was never a mass multi-tabler, but even playing two or three tables online, you don't need to fold too much because between the three tables, you'll get a hand every
Good
now
point,
and again.
right. Yep.
And then moving over to in-person play, patience was not a strong point, and I would play too many hands, and I had difficulties in that transition. Now it has gone fairly well overall, but it's still something that I have to work on, and especially when I'm learning new games. I think for most people when they learn new games, it's especially like most of the games you get more cards than No Limit, so it's just kind of like natural to want to play like hands that you shouldn't be playing, but that look kind of okay. Oh, it's got King Queen suited in it. How bad can it be?
I hear you.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
also
yeah.
don't like folding. Wes can attest.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of most good players are not loving to fold.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I really like that answer. My favorite game is the one where it's just one other player, and then it gets less and less as it gets down to nine. It's pretty honest.
Probably though, I dodged the question. Probably Omaha Hilo, hot limit Omaha Hilo, maybe limit whatever big O, like anything in the Omaha Hilo variety is the one that historically I've played the most and kind of liked it. It's hard not to be results oriented though, and just like
Bracelet.
whatever you've done well in recently is the one that you like.
Yeah. I think I should clarify for our listeners that one of your three bracelets, and correct me if I'm wrong here, came in a 10K high-low tournament, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. 10K limit 08. Yeah.
It was in 2019, is that right? Or is that
No, it's 2021.
2021? Okay. You
Yeah.
won like a 2,500 no limit bracelet in 2019, or am I still off here?
Yes. No, that's right. It was actually really interesting to me, maybe not. But so I've done like pretty well overall. Like you went through all those results. I never made a top nine at a World Series event until 2019. My first time I ever played a World Series event was 2005.
Okay.
And so like I went to go see one of these like therapist type people. Like I was always crying to my friends like, what is it like about like the summer heat or Vegas, or like I don't know, like something, am I doing something wrong in the summer? Like I do so well outside of the summer, and then like at summertime it wasn't just World Series, but World Series in particular, like to never have made a. And at the beginning, especially pre-Black Friday, I wouldn't play that much online in person. I would probably play like '05. I only played the one tournament, but then like going on, I would play maybe 3 to 10 events a year. But then like starting from like 2014, maybe I was playing like pretty full schedules and just couldn't, and I was doing well in no limit events everywhere else. Now, of course, the fields were huge, But still to like never have gotten that top 9 finish was pretty crazy. And then since then I have tons of them. So a lot of shock, a lot of variants in
Go
this
ahead.
game.
Yeah, do you feel like there actually was something mentally there? Do you think it was just a factor of variance and how
So someone actually, like a pretty good player, a very good player, just messaged me yesterday and goes like, "What's a normal downswing to have, like playing like $6,000 average buy in tough tournaments?"
Yeah.
And I'm like in life, you just never know. There's not like, I mean, even online, but like you're never getting it like, you played, like I play more tournaments than anyone else. You know, I play maybe like 300-400 entries a year. Like that's nothing. That's nothing. You can't not forget about conclusively determine. You can't even determine with a reasonable amount of certitude, anything from those results. So it's so
Right.
hard to go back. Yeah, I'm sure, so every May is on Poker Stars throughout those years, and still to this day, there's a big series called Scoop, and I would
Yep.
always go. I was saying like I think maybe before we started, or maybe it was part of this. I always would leave for a couple of weeks a year and play these big online series. So I would go hard in May playing online Scoop, and that might have contributed like to the kind of lack of patience I was displaying, and I would come into the series kind of ready to go. Not both like there's also like a different pace of play online, like not just even if it was 1-to-1, the amount of hands, like people play much more aggressively online. So like like trying to induce the light 5-bet like just is not gonna, like even in 2014 wasn't happening, very much in person. And coming off Scoop where like, yeah, that can be a pretty decent play. Like so yeah, so I think part of it, maybe again, like it's definitely being results oriented. It's like assuming I'm doing something wrong because the results are bad, like how do we diagnose it? Well, it might not be correct to assume that I was doing something wrong. Could just be that it is what it is. You're playing, 2000 entry poker tournaments. Well, you're not going to get a top 9 very often. So, maybe you're supposed to get it once every, you know, 200 times, and you've played 150 of them. So is that really even that run bad to have not gotten it?
And how did that guy respond to that information? Does he go, okay?
Yeah, I know. He's like, yeah, you're right. It's
Eye-opening, right? I mean, a lot of people don't understand how crazy variance can actually be in poker tournaments.
right, exactly. And even it's always easy. I used to do coaching. I don't do any more coaching, but I used to do a bunch of coaching and say all the good stuff. But then, like when it comes to yourself, it's much easier to like when you're non-emotional about it and to just kind of say like all the things that we all know, like even, you don't even have to be such a good player to know. Don't be results oriented. Like if your ace queen loses to like jack 5, like things happen. Like it's not a big deal. But then when it happens and there's 24 people left, and you're chasing, the most prestigious title in poker, WSOP circuit ring, like you might get you might get tilted in that spot, like even though we know you're not supposed to, or you go from like having double average to average, like it's still healthy, but it's hard not to
Yeah,
you
we're
know
human. Yeah. Does
yeah.
Ari Engel tilt?
Yeah, I just keep it all inside, so it's really healthy. And
Wes, you're gonna say something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's a good observation that, as a poker player, even if you're a professional, like you can know what a downswing is supposed to look like, or the fact that there really is not a limit to how big of a downswing you can have, but you don't necessarily emotionally know it until you feel it. Like
exactly.
you can know the right answers, but then once it happens, you still get that feeling like, do I actually just suck at this game? Like, what's going on?
Right, and the truth is, and this was also something that I brought up, we don't like, maybe it is that you do suck, like you don't know, like, and there are, I've been playing professionally. It's coming on my 20th anniversary, and the amount of people that were professionals, 18 years ago, that are still professionals now, it's like, virtually no one.
Yeah.
Like even like, I remember like us like online kids, quote unquote, like we would be like, okay, the live players, they all suck. So they're obviously gonna, be dinosaurs and all that. But like if you look at it, it's now a defunct site. Like Poker Fives had an online leaderboard, and like, the best online players, and like you look at the rankings from '05 or '06, like, they would have the top 100. I can't imagine there's like more than 5 or 10 that are still, and those were the best of the best.
Yeah.
From that time, that we all thought were like the up and comers, the ones that now like we kind of, the like, pros nowadays are going to be like, oh, like an online pro from '05, like that's nothing. Like, you didn't have solvers, you didn't have anything to like actually know anything. But we looked at the live players from that time the same way, the newest players, the top players now look at us.
Okay. There's not, like you mentioned, there's not many people who have sustained a career in poker over all these years. I mean, some of the ones I can think of that didn't have like super big media endorsements, like Negreanu or Phil Hellmuth, someone like Eric Seidel, who just grinds in and out forever and ever. I think it's a lot more than just how well you play that determines if you can make a long-term career out of it. It's how well you can manage your emotions as well, and even internally,
bankroll.
and
I mean,
bankroll.
Seidel is amazing, so I don't want to talk bad about him, but he was, I think, owner of Full Tilt. So like,
Oh,
he,
well, I was
he,
unaware of that, so.
I mean, no, I'm not saying like anything bad. Like at the least, he was like one of the highly sponsored pros from them. So like,
That I did actually know.
I was just like, he just made a lot in sponsorship also.
Okay, well then disregard my previous
Yeah,
statement. I wasn't
yeah.
aware that he made a ton of full tilt sponsorship money.
Yeah, and nothing, like, it's unbelievable. Even Negrant, like, it doesn't make a difference so much. Like, there's a lot of the sponsored players are gone too. Like, so like those huge names, and also it's like, okay, you can get sponsorship money, but are you winning?
Yeah.
Like the fact that, I mean, Phil Hellmuth won the main event in 1989. That's like, that's insane. Like that's insane. Regardless of what you think of his strategy, whatever, like he's like at the very least like good, like
Yeah.
like whether like people say, is he the best? Okay, like technically, obviously not, but still, like, he does a lot of things well. Like he did a lot of things well in 1989, and he's doing a lot of things well now. Like that in completely, and throughout the years. So like, the Negreanu's, Hellmuth's, Seidel, Ivy, all, but it doesn't. There aren't very many beyond that group. But yeah, it's unbelievable what they've been able to do. But it's not too many of them.
Okay. Let's take a step back for a minute. Would you mind discussing a little bit about like how you found poker and what like why you fell in love with it?
Yeah. So the like I played a little drop with friends over like towards the end of high school, and like spent a gap year in Israel. But basically my first like real bumping into like poker strategy and thinking about it strategically was my roommate in college. I went to NYU, was a guy named Andrew Brown,
Okay.
who's a bracelet winner. He plays like all the games really well, and we just happened to be roommates. And he very good at poker, not very good at being a college student. But he just played poker all the time, played online, and uh, I would watch him. Like I emerged out of college with like 6 figures in debt and $120 in my checking account. So I had no money at the time, and I watched him for like 3 months. Didn't play. I was like focused on my studies, and eventually it's been long enough that we can talk about violations of terms of service. Eventually, he let me use his account, and I had a piece of paper where I would write plus 18 cents, minus 7 cents, like literally pennies I was playing for. And I didn't want to open up my own or anything like that.
Right.
And I didn't want to risk anything substantial. But for like a couple of months, I would play and just had like hundreds of numbers. And I don't think any of them ever got to like $1. It was all like in the cents. So I would play that, and then after, like, we were roommates only for one semester, and then the next semester I was like, are you playing, can I play on it? And a couple of times that happened, and he's like, okay, I think it's time that like you open up your own account. So I played throughout college, where like I won a $5 tournament for $700. That was the highlight of that time. But I emerged, having maybe won like $1,500 in like a year, something like
Were you
that.
hooked at this point?
I was playing a fair amount, but like it wasn't anything that I could see. Like
Okay.
I'd made $1,500 in a year, so it was like, I wasn't,
You couldn't support yourself on this yet.
You would have to scale it up a
It's
ton
like-
from there. Yeah.
Yeah. My rent would have been, I don't know, $700-800 a month or something like that. Like, living in a really like, with shared room and all that. So I graduated college. I went through college really quickly, and I was a bad interviewer. I didn't have internships. I don't know. I can make excuses, but I couldn't get a job in my industry, and I got like a really bad job just to like do something. And a couple months out, I would go once a week into, all my friends were still in college. I would go there and play a home game. And at the game, they're like, there's this new site, Bodog. It's like unbelievable. And at that time, I didn't realize that everyone always says that this game is so soft. Like I didn't realize that that's the thing. Like you always say like this game is so soft. Like I had a friend who Joseph Chong. He final table at the main event, had like this really
I was
famous.
chatting with him this summer. Yeah, it's a great dude.
Yeah. So it was fun. Like in like, I think it was like a year after that, he won a Bellagio 5K. And at the time in like 2010, 11, the Bellagio side events, like in Vegas, tournaments are always tougher. Like 5K was like one of the highest. This was before high rollers. That was like one of the toughest tournaments you could play like throughout the year, because it wasn't during the World Series. It was just like a high buy-in in Vegas, like non-main event. Like literally there weren't many high, and he wrote afterwards like, oh, that was such a soft tournament, like like it's just funny the way. But anyway, they told me about Bodog. They're like, it's really soft. And I deposited, and like I told you how much I'd been making prior to that. And my first week I won $5,000.
Oh my God.
Okay, so maybe it was soft.
Yeah. It wasn't very long. And so my parents had co-signed on my college loans. I was making $500 a week in my job. So $26K a year. When I made, it was like, maybe it might have been whatever, a very short amount of time where I made half a year's salary. And I go to my dad, like, the job that I have right now sucks. Like, it's nothing. I want to see about if I can pursue this. I've made half a year's salary. Let me go for it for 6 months, and let's go from there.
He supported you in this?
My dad is an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, Orthodox Judaism is like one of the stricter religions, one of the more conservative. And my dad is a rabbi, like that's on the like most conservative side. And like, he's extremely conservative, just like in his day-to-day life. Like he's never gambled. Like he would not gamble at all. Like he can't sweat. Like he's been telling me, like, I don't have much crypto at all, but he told me to sell Bitcoin when it was 2000. And he's told me to sell Bitcoin at every step along the way since then, like so just like any kind of risk is like S&P 500 index funds is the most risk that he'd want me to take with my finances.
Mhm.
Okay.
And even that, it's like, well, like there's a CD you could do, which is guaranteed.
So what was his
so-
response then?
Somehow he was really supportive, and and not only that, like he's bumped into like problem gamblers throughout his life. Yeah, but somehow my parents have been really supportive, and really quickly they bought into kind of the sales job that I always say, which is the way I play poker is much more akin to real estate investment, stock, some sort of like investments which have variance and gamble to them. But it's not like roulette or anything like that. And yeah, so they've been unbelievably supportive. My parents the entire way, really quickly.
That goes a long way.
Yeah, and I'm sure they were really nervous about it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which like any parent should be pretty nervous if their kid's like, I want to be a professional gambler.
Yeah. But if I mean, you've already gone through college and have a degree at this point, and if for some reason it does go south, it seems like you have a good, maybe they're confident enough that you'll be able to get back on your feet if it doesn't work out.
Right. Hopefully one would. But still, it's like I would never, I would never, it would take a lot for me to want, I don't have any kids, but, in that kind of world, it would take a lot for me to support
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
It's funny you said that because your dad's a rabbi, you said, right?
Yeah.
4 days ago or something, Poker Go put on YouTube a documentary from the 2000 WSOP main event final table. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he was a rabbi and he final tabled it, and he was also a professor. And man, I wish I could remember his name.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I just watched the 2001 one that they put out.
Okay.
So I gotta go back and see the
Go check it out
2000.
because they like interview his they interview him. It's a documentary, so they interview him and they interview his students and his family, and everybody's like, this is so unlike him, but then he makes $500,000 at the final table, the main event. They're all just like, okay, this is great. So, anyways, just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was cool. Moving forward, I noticed in 2006 was your first recorded hand in mob cash. It said it was like a 10K buy-in event where you cashed for $12,000. Is that how does that happen? And I'm sure that's not. You told me you were playing in 2005, so clearly it's not your first cash.
Well, I think it might have been my first live tournament cash. So I started playing online, and in 2000 in like, so 04 was when I started on Bodog, and by June 05 or by like April or May 05, Bodog messaged me and said, like, you're the biggest winner on our site. Do you want to go to the main event and play for us, and we'll pay for your buy-in. We'll put I brought a few friends out with me. We stayed at the Rio. I probably played, like, I was playing cash games. I played, a dozen or so tournaments in my life, probably at that stage. We were talking earlier about patience. The 2005 version of me had less, if we're talking 0 out of 100, I was in negative when it came to we know that the main event is like a slow tournament. That was not my thing. I can't imagine I played less than 75% of hands, and I do know my bust out hand. Not all the details, but all I know was early position had opened and I was a small blind with 4-2. And that's all I know about the hand.
Ari doesn't fold in 2005.
Yes.
Do you think you could get away with that kind of stuff more back then? Like I watch old streams and I see people do some crazy stuff that just is
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't so like everything wasn't sharp, when it comes to strategy. So like the ideas that we have now, which, is to be aggressive and stuff like that. That like we kind of knew like being aggressive worked. We just didn't know like how, what, where, when. And so everyone was trying to figure it out. And a lot of like raw aggression really worked well, especially in live poker, where they were particularly not, but adept to it. But even online, so yeah, the hyper aggressiveness really worked really well. Besides for the times when it didn't work well, but that's okay. Like in tournaments, especially where your downside is limited, like it doesn't make a difference if you get out first or you get out, in the 20 percentile. Yeah, it's funny that you said that the min cash was 12,000 because in those days, I don't remember exactly in that tournament, but they paid 10% usually. So it was even they're not paying 15% like now.
So it was much more top heavy then.
Yes, yeah, exactly. They were extremely top heavy. I had satellited into that tournament online, and otherwise, like I wasn't routinely playing very much at all live. So yeah, and somehow I think I don't remember exactly all the details of it, but I remember just I got a big stack. I was super confident, and I was already like on that Pocket Fives rankings. I think I for a little bit in 2006 I was ranked number one. So like I might have been at that time, but if not, I was already like viewed as like a really good online player at that time. So it was my first live cash. But
You had
I
already
was
had that experience.
I had played more hands than like almost everyone in that tournament.
That makes sense.
So to me, I was the veteran and they were the rookies.
Okay. Should we get into some of the nitty gritty? Talk
Yeah.
about studying and all that good stuff.
Yeah, let's do that.
I guess I'll start it off here. Between feel and GTO, Ari, do you feel like maybe feels wrong? Between feel and GTO styles of poker, which one do you feel like you more align with?
Um, I think I align in theory more with the studied approach. And but there's like a difference between what I do in theory and then what I actually like do in practice. Um, so I have I'm not the most studied player ever. I would in my ideal world I would be more studied than I am. Um, but I think like it's insane for a professional player to not have a really solid fundamental basis in the game. And
I should clarify. I guess for a better word for feel is more of like exploitative.
right. So yeah, I mean, it's still the same idea. Like, you can, well, you can, you're still gonna have to like not be exploitative plenty amount of the time. Like there's just going to be tables where it's mainly good players and there's not a lot to exploit.
True.
Yeah, of course, like if you're playing a $400 tournament on the circuit in most places, like you shouldn't go like straight up by the book most of the time. So yeah, like if that's the question, is like in certain spots, I would for sure say like you want to be exploitative. But I don't think there's many, highly studied players who would be like, okay, I'm playing against, what do they say, like old man coffee or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
OMC.
Yeah, like it's like I don't think there are going to be many people that go like, well, my minimum difference frequency on the river is like 30%. Like I got a call 30%. Like it doesn't take a genius to figure out like you probably don't want to be defending 30% in that spot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's well said.
yeah, I appreciate that. I feel, not to compare you to anyone, obviously, but it just in terms of how I look at it, it seems like you and Josh kind of align a lot. Like you both don't put a lot of time into studying, but you both have a very natural ability to to kind of just figure out what the best next play is against us, whatever the player type is you're playing against. Do you agree with that?
Um, I don't know. I'm not so, like we've always been friends, but we haven't been that like close when it comes to like discussing strategy.
Okay.
We've talked, a fair amount over the years. But it's hard for me to like
That's fair
guesstimate.
to associate your style with his style. That
Yeah,
makes complete sense. So I guess that my follow-up question to that is, and then I'll let you get into there, Wes, is what does studying look like to you? Is that just going to be talking hands over with other people? Do you ever get into the Sims at all? Like, what kind of things do you do to try and improve your game at this point?
Yeah, there's like a little bit of everything, I would say, when it comes, so there's like some like GTO's trainer stuff, not as much as I would like. I know I don't actually do Sims. Again, I would like to, but I guess not enough. Another thing to discuss with my therapist. Plenty of like throughout the years, I've always watched, final tables and stuff like that, and also training videos. And then, yes, also discussing with friends. In the last few years, I've spent, way more of my studying time in the mixed game world. Um, but also like I put in so much volume, which I don't think is like optimal if I was trying to maximize myself. But it's more optimal where like just for the way I want to, like I enjoy playing more than studying a lot. And at this stage, I'm still doing well enough, which is one way of looking at it, I guess. So like I just I kind
Especially
of
if you're
feel
happy
like
with your life and how it's currently going, you know what I mean?
exactly. So it's always a balance. To which degree you want to, and like I always used to say this online, and people would my friends would kind of like laugh at me, but I'm like, this is not gonna last. And that's still true today. Like the long run future of poker, the long run is like really bad. Like if we say 100 years from now, like it's almost impossible, to think that there's going to be such thing as a professional poker player, or like maybe it'll be like chess, where like the best players make $5,000 a year or whatever, nothing. So
As a
like
chess player, I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah. So like the question is, how is it going to be in 10 years or 20 years? I don't know, or 5 years. Like I'm not at the cutting edge of tech, so I don't completely understand how quickly things are moving. And then also how that impacts the in-person world. I've always made like a fair amount of my money online. And so like that I know for sure that's going to be that's going downhill. I still I'm still doing okay online, so it's like when that's going to happen. It's felt like it's going to be any day for the last for years now. It feels like it's literally about to be any day where it's just like not good enough.
It just changes, yeah.
Well, between artificial intelligence, like kosher, like just like studying and everyone getting better, and then the stuff that's like not okay, the bad behavior, that I just can't see how, like, you know you're not going to be able to just look everything up in 1 second and make your decisions. And like it's just too much. Even small stakes is going to be too much money on the line, for people to not, whether it's people in lower income countries or younger people, like it doesn't, people are working throughout the world for very small amounts of dollars per hour. And so it's hard to, like, if you can set up your family, like I'm not even calling them out ethically necessarily. Like I wonder what I would do. Like if I could,
Yeah, like if you
I
could,
could, like, violate some, technical poker rules where I'm not going to get in trouble with my local police and set up my family who are now struggling, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, like you could use this sort of AI or whatever, and you could play like NL 100 online where people aren't, that's not what most pros are playing, but it's like, oh, you just get in a couple tables of this and you crush it. And like maybe you're in a country where you only need 1,000 or 2,000 US dollars per month to live decently or something. And like you can make that on that game. So it could get to the point where like
People are using
yeah,
cheating exploits to get
yeah, like there's
at all
no
stages.
yeah, there's no stakes that are like safe
and
necessarily. And it's like
and even
like
like
why
right
wouldn't you?
now, like how are sites protecting us? Like you can just, let's say you're cheating, you cheat, you cash out your money as quick as you can,
Mhm.
and then eventually you get caught. Let's say it's a really strong site security, like eventually you get caught. So like they catch you and they have what, like 10% of what you profited lifetime from it, maybe. Okay, and then you're done, and then you set up a new system and you do it again, and there's no like they can never take all the money. There's never a back. Like, unfortunately, I thought when legal online was coming that if you got caught, like I used to make this claim that if you got caught cheating, like you would actually, it would be like you got caught cheating in the casino, and like you would potentially be going to jail.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anything like that. I don't know if it is an option, but I would have loved to see.
Some bigger,
You know,
yeah, some bigger, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Reprimandation. Is that a word?
repercussions, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Thank you,
yeah.
thank you. But yeah, bigger repercussions so people are scared to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a good observation that you make, where it's like, can you even blame people where it's like it's not like illegal, even in the US, it's not like it's illegal. And even if you get completely outcast from the poker world in the long run, it's like that's most people aren't in that world. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not even that crazy to see like someone who's not a poker player, if it could be just as easy as using some tool to play perfect poker. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm in a financial pinch. Like I'm gonna do this for even just like 6 months and I'll be good. Then I'll go back to my life. It's like that actually seems kind of rational, unfortunately.
And by the way, if you are in the poker world and kind of don't care about the way people think about you,
Mhm.
you actually would increase your EV being hated.
Yeah.
Like like if you're super hated and people are gonna do dumb things against you,
Yeah. People will
um,
try and get you.
yeah, like that's gonna be helpful. Like I remember it's not the exact same thing, but I remember WPT used to have a tournament called Bay 101 Shooting Star, and they would pick each year some like top pros and then some like lesser known pros, and and they like some years they would have like, okay, like this person's the ace of spades, down, and a couple of years I was like the deuce of clubs, like
Yeah.
I just got in like
You
the
made the
bottom
cut.
level to get in. But it was super cool, like being the only person at the bounty, like everyone's trying to play bad against you,
Mhm.
like ironically, even when I had them covered, they still would play back. Like it was such an amazing spot and situation. And yeah, of course, like me, like I couldn't help but like still try and bluff up my chips at times, like even when they're like for sure like calling like 90% instead of 30%. I was always going for that 10 ball. Like imagine if I get it through, I'm gonna have a good story for the group chat.
Yeah, and you get to show it. I'm sure you would show it in that
I'm not such a
situation.
shower, but I more share it with the friends, and
Gotcha. Get it.
yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good. Wes, you had something on your phone.
Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit more strategy related. One question I have, and I'll give an example of what my answer is for this too, is like, what's something that most good players get wrong? And you could have a few answer, like maybe back in 2008, there's one answer, and maybe now there's another answer. But like, My answer right now is something like just automatically c-betting 1/3 pot on the flop. Like a lot of good players know that that can be good in a lot of situations, but like aren't actually thinking of the reasoning. Like
They're
on a
just
lot,
automated at this point. I don't
yeah, it's like
specific textures.
yeah, or just on all of them. Like a lot of times, if the person who defends is in position against you, you should either check or bet big, or if it's like a lower board, you should bet bigger in some case. Like, anyways, so my answer is like a lot of good players just default to c betting small, even when it doesn't make sense. And yeah, so like, what's an example of something you think that even like
Yeah,
winning players do that isn't good?
I think people really care about the respect and opinion of their peers. I there before I defend it, the reason why I think it's bad is at least for me, like I've always been like a trial and error person, and like I've never been afraid to like look dumb in front of other people, and to the extent that people think that I'm bad, like I don't even think it's a bad thing. It's like great, okay, like let's go. I mean, it's especially valuable like I play online a lot of short-handed like mixed games. Like if people think I'm bad, that's amazing for getting action. But even in tournaments, it's like, okay, like you think I'm bad, like, okay, great. Like it doesn't make like hopefully I can exploit that in some way. Now to defend it, in today's climate or not just today's climate, but in the climate where you don't have enough money to have your own action and you need to sell action and maybe you want to swap pieces, so like I can understand potentially why people would worry about what their peers think and why it could make a difference. But if you are able to fund yourself, I think you can gain a lot by like not caring, and by also like willing to, if you talk about exploits and playing exploitative poker, and yet you're not willing to like do something dumb, like you're not really gonna like scratch the surface of what's possible. Like you have to like do things that you know are gonna be, you're gonna like look back and be like, okay, that was dumb. um so yeah, I think that would be something that I would say, and that's pretty much been universal throughout the years. I mean, it was more important, back when we didn't have good strategies just kind of handed to us by our robot overlords, but so in those days it was like, and and the truth is, it went both ways. I mean, there was a time on the online forums where, when I was doing very well online, and the way that culture worked is everyone kind of like railed the best players and brought up their tables and watched their hands. And it seemed like there was a thread almost every day, like, why did he do this thing? Why did he do that thing? And a lot of them were directed in my direction. And after time, some of the criticisms I felt were unwarranted. I tried not to explain myself. Sometimes I did, in moments of weakness, I would try and defend myself. But plenty of other times I would let it slide. But I also was able to like catch leaks that way. Like eventually I was like, you know what, you guys on the rail, you're actually right about that.
Awesome.
So like, yeah, so it was really cool getting the like free coaching.
And like you said, it's trial and error too. A lot of it, you're just trying to figure out for yourself what's best. I mean, not everyone plays perfect all the time,
Yeah.
right? No one does. So I think that's great. And also what you were just saying about people not caring about, or you not caring about what people think about your play. I think that will really help a lot of our listeners, especially people who are just starting to get into the game, who are afraid to do specific things because that a lot of them are afraid. I mean, I've been guilty of that too, especially if you ever find yourself on like a TV table or something. That's probably why
Yeah.
you see a lot of weird stuff happen occasionally on TV tables specifically.
Yeah.
If you want a trick to like kind of help yourself in that spot, you can know that if we look at conventional wisdom 15 years ago, but let alone 15 years ago, 3 years ago, a lot of conventional wisdom from 3 years ago, everyone kind of disregards now and says like, oh no, that was bad. And that was like widely held beliefs, like by good players. So a lot of the stuff that you're thinking is right or wrong will not be wrong, will not be viewed as right in some amount of time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
That's a great point.
I think that's a really good answer overall. And I feel like for me, I've been in, sometimes when I'm not playing as well, it's because I'm maybe thinking, not like actively thinking about what other people would think, but more like I'm not thinking deeply enough in the moment. So I'm like, well, what just seems like an answer most people would give, But if you're like, if you're really thinking deeply about each hand and you're in the zone and you're thinking logically, like you're going to come up with answers that might seem kind of crazy to someone who just sort of casually watching. And so yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like when I'm playing my best, I'm not, I'm coming up with some plays that might look insane, but to me, they're like, oh no, that made sense just based on everything I know in this spot.
And a lot of people are missing information that you know about your opponents.
Yep. Yeah. And like, I would say that's maybe even sort of similar to my answer where it's like the third pot bet thing is just sort of this is sort of my lazy like default play that I'm always going to do. Yeah, so that's a really good point. Should we do a little hand review here?
Before that, we have another question, a recurring question on the podcast for our guests. Ari, is poker an art or a science?
Okay, I've listened to your podcast a lot, and I was like, wait, what's the recurring? Okay, as you said it,
Yeah,
I remembered, but I did not.
We did forget that one recently.
On our last episode, I was let down about that.
Okay.
But anyways.
I mean, I'm generally always trying to. My friends kind of give me attitude for it because I'm always saying everything is on a spectrum, and so yeah, and it's kind of the same thing. People are like, is it luck or skill? And I'm like, well, it has elements of both, and I would definitely say it has elements of both. Yeah, it has strong elements of both, and I would say it's not 80% of either. So we're somewhere between the 20 and 80 percentile. But and it's also I mean I guess I would lean more towards the science side. Somewhat more. But and then like at a high roll final table, we're leaning even more towards the science part. And then when I'm playing like heads up PL08 against whoever, like I haven't been able to like see any strategy about that. It's just like we're both like kind of just like freestyling, and
pioneers of those waters.
like that's what I love. I love the most is doing that, and I have done so much dumb things, and then I'm like always like experimenting with like quote unquote crazy strategies that like kind of go against everything like I've always seen, like I'm doing strategies with like 0% C bets and like no three betting, and and then the other way, like like super high percentage. Like a lot of times in like 08, there's like not three betting is like somewhat normal for a lot of people. I mean, different people do different strategies, but like I've experimented like trying to pull the lever like all the way different sides, and see how it works out. And of course, like in heads up, it's going to be a lot opponent dependent. So like you pull the lever one way for one player and a different way for a different, and then try and see how it's, I'm a big experimenter, so like I've always been that way. And like to some extent in like in 100 blind no limit, or 20 blind no limit, there's a little bit less on the experimenting side. I've still like kind of like pushed pushed it a little bit in different directions over the years. But it's becoming a little bit harder to kind of quote unquote violate the rules when it seems like the rules know better than me.
Yeah. And also part of that question too is like when you're doing those very, not by the book plays, does that count as art or science? Because in science, you experiment and you figure out a better plan and figure out better stuff. And like
Yeah, well said.
science doesn't necessarily mean always doing what's been figured out already either. It's
Right.
just like
It's a great point.
having a good way to think about, a way to figure out a better way to play, essentially. And so it can kind of fall into both camps a little bit. Like if you feel like poker is an art, you could probably figure out the scientific reason why your art is winning.
Yeah.
If it is.
And that
Yes.
question isn't to get an answer necessarily, as it is
Yeah.
to just kind of peel into the minds of the people we're interviewing and see how they look at things. You know what I mean? Because
For
there is
sure.
no right answer, right? It's just to kind of see.
Well, no, there's a right answer. The one I gave is the right
Yeah. I
answer.
word for word.
Okay.
I don't know why other people haven't said
I
that.
said something about being humble earlier, but
Yeah.
That's
No,
good.
but that's the kind of sarcasm you can use when people know you are humble.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've always thought like at one time in like a winner's interview or something that I would just go the exact opposite direction and like try and helmet it up, but I've never actually wanted to like pull it off yet.
Please.
I
That would be
wait for that.
amazing.
I wait for that interview, man. Oh man, that'll be great. That'll be
Yeah.
Yeah, just like go the route of like, there was actually like it's weird. I almost didn't win this tournament, and I knew I was gonna win coming in, but these
Yeah,
idiots
yeah.
almost got me, and
My opponents played awful. Like I was just like lights above everyone else. Like it was
Yeah.
like playing with kindergarten players, like-
yeah, no, that would be hilarious.
Well, let's break down a hand.
Yeah, so I have a hand here. This is it's a multi-way spot, the first level of day 2 in the WSOP monster stack this year. So, and ironically, I was saying to Max before, like there were actually a lot of hands from this tournament that really made me think hard. And we reviewed 2 or 3 of them already, but so in case for those who aren't familiar, the monster stack, day 2, we're not really that close to the money yet. I think like a third of the field made day 2 and 15% cash. And at this point, yeah, we're still in the first level of day 2. So blinds are 1,500, 3K, 3K. And we start the hand with about 210K, which isn't going to matter. We're not going to play for stacks. And then the 2 main villains start the hand with around 100K. So we have about 70 bigs, but they're going to have between 30, 35 bigs each. And so we look down at 2 aces under the gun +1, ace of clubs, ace of diamonds, I believe it was. We don't have a spade, which the spade is going to be the main thing that's interesting about the hand. So open to 6,500, the button calls and the big blind calls. And so the button is actually a guy who I've played with a decent amount. I think he's reasonably good. He's not like a pro or anything, but he's not spewy by any means. And then the big blind is a guy who I don't know, but I know he's from somewhere in Europe, so I'm kind of assuming
He's an idiot from Northern Europe.
Exactly. Phil Hellmuth reference for anyone who isn't familiar.
Yeah, sorry, I don't actually get
Yeah.
that. Disclaimer.
So anyways, they both call, and the pot now is 24K. And the flop is 8-7 deuce all spades, and we have pocket aces with no spade. So the big blind checks. And so first decision here is, are we going to see bet or are we going to check?
Is this 5 ways then?
3 ways.
3.
Yeah. Okay.
Button and big blind called.
Okay, button and big blind called. Okay, never mind. I'm so good at this. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't feel too strongly between checking and c betting here. It seems to me that a lot of the better players' strategies are doing a lot of checking when there's a caller in position. I still haven't figured out so much like when, what, and how, but I just know that that's become a lot more prevalent is checking. So I've been trying to do a lot more of it, but I don't have it down so much if this is like one of those like 90% checks or 10% check situations or somewhere in between.
I agree with you. I've seen a lot of people checking these spots, even with, their entire range.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in general, like if you're gonna c bet multi-ways, it's like the king high board, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but it's like the king high boards are the ones that are best to do that. Sort of the dry king high boards. Anyways,
Yeah.
I did decide to check. My thought is like I'm not really looking to get stacks in against either player here. I'm viewing this as sort of a two street hand. Like obviously, if there's a fourth spade, we're not putting money in, but like I'm viewing this as a bit more of a two street hand, maybe just a one street hand. And I also recognize that like if I see bet, if either player raises, like the fact that they're raising when I bet into a multi-way, into a three-way spot here, like
Feels bad.
yeah, it feels bad. And like I could easily be getting bluffed too, of
You're right.
course.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Eight, seven deuce, 8-7 deuce, spade, spade, spade.
yep. And so
Okay.
I
So you
checked
check.
and then button check too. So at this
Okay.
point, I'm like pretty certain that I have the button beat, and the big blind, we kind of don't really know. Obviously, aces is
Yes.
going to usually be ahead, but
Right.
we have no
Yep.
more information. So the turn pairs the seven of clubs, and the big blind leads third pot, so 8K into 24.
So you call.
Yeah, I call. I figure
Yeah.
that's a pretty
No brainer.
yeah. The button also calls, and so yeah. At this point, what are you thinking as far as both players' ranges? I know the
So
big
yeah,
blind.
big blind is still not too defined.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, definitely an 8 makes plenty of sense, or a 7 makes plenty of sense. Flushes are possible, and like one spades are also very possible. And we would expect a hand like Jack 9 with one spade to be betting, but maybe even Jack 9 in general, let alone like the strong straight draws. So yeah, button that's the big blind. Pretty wide, plenty of hands. Some beat you, but we'll see what kind of odds. But like, you're very happily calling. Like
Yeah.
you're getting a good price compared to how good you're going to be. Button is one of those things where it kind of raises red flags. Like they're like a normal style player. So like what kind of hands, like you would not really expect an 8 to be like checking back the top pair, and also we weren't really expecting them to overcall with that kind of hand. There's still like plenty of draws. Like the bet wasn't particularly big, so like weaker draws are like still like pretty happy to be calling here. Um, I would expect like I would have expected still like a lot of the weaker draws to be betting when check two on the flop. So a 10-9 of diamonds kind of hand. I don't know how much you're calling that weaker or not, but on the all spade board, but then straight would be like a little bit on the weaker side. I would have expected them to bet a lot, but I think there's some chance of those kind of hands, like a Jack 9 without spade would not call. You would expect them not to be calling in this spot, and maybe or maybe not to see bet, but if they did check, But those kind of hands, maybe like a jack is, but oh no, but you wouldn't call pre-flop with
He's not
that.
gonna have a ton of like offsuit stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are some flushes that would slow play here. Definitely
In position
sometimes,
with, yeah, because I mean, if he wants to
yeah,
maximum,
sometimes they would bet, but sometimes like especially like it kind of looks like Wes is just giving up. To some people, it would look that way, that he'd just be giving up. So like people, and also just like generally, like kind of like fancy play like plays a role in it. Especially like a nut flush. Like I could easily see that being a hand that people want to check back. Maybe not like Jack 10 suited as much or Queen 10 suited as much. But some things. Let's see what kind of hands would they have that you're good against. It's kind of weird. They have to. If it's a good player, they have to have everything in all spots, right? You have to have hands that you're beating, and you can never have a spot where you're only having value hands. Um, but for a lot of like more normal style players, especially like we're not like too close to money, but like I call this time or my friends or whatever, they call it like dub up, like half the people left will cash. It's like kind of starting, it's in the air already, and especially on a day two, so it's, you wouldn't expect this kind of person to be too splashy, but maybe you would, like this is the kind of thing where like you're paying attention, like normal kind of players, like some lean on the more splashy side and some lean on the little bit less splashy side. um yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts were like, there's gonna be, he could have like ace of spades with a jack or a 10 or something. He could have
That's
king.
where I was kind of leaning towards, like an ace of spades, king of spades. But I mean, do they bet that in position on the flop? Probably not, I guess.
Yeah,
At
probably.
least sometimes they would.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or it could,
I
it
mean,
could be
it's
like,
discounted.
it could be the ace with the jack of spades or king queen with one spade. I don't think he'll be calling like queen 10 offsuit pre-flop, but there's some of that. And then there's like pocket sixes, fives, fours, threes with a spade where it's like, it's kind of a combination where he feels like he's unlikely to be good now, and he's also not sure that his spade is even good if it comes, but he does have like the two clean outs and he's getting like 5-1 in position where it feels like there are enough ways that he could win the hand 1 out of 6 times maybe. Or
Out of all those hands, to me, king of spades seems the most likely. Or
like king queen with king of spades.
like those hands, like I mean, all the sixes and stuff like that is also like they make some sense, but I think there's plenty of times where those would be folded also. So you'd be discounting the chances that they have them. I think king of spades, whether it's king queen, king jack, probably they're not having other ones, but I think king of spades will not allow itself to fold,
Yeah.
in this spot in position. So like that will be like, and also I think king of spades is like a little less comfortable betting the flop.
Yep.
So, it might actually, like from a study perspective, make more sense to want to bet king of spades and not bet ace of spades. I don't
That's
know.
what I was thinking. We're like,
I think like in practice for like you're just normal kind of player, I think they're gonna feel more comfortable betting ace of spades than they will king of spades.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Agree with that, man.
Okay, so 3 ways to the river. We've got 48K in the pot, and the river is the 6 of diamonds. So the board is 8-7 deuce, all spades, 7 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. So this is mostly a blank. Like if he did have sixes with a spade, obviously that got there, and then 10-9 comes in, but like he's not, he's a like reasonably good player where he's not going to have 10-9 offsuit ever. So like he would have to call the turn with 10-9 suited, you know, no spade, like where there's at least a small chance he's like dead.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think also like from the button's perspective, 10-9 might bet the flop sometimes.
yeah.
But I do think if they didn't bet that there's still like it was 8K into at that stage 40K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they would call. So there's 48K in the middle. What does the big blind do?
So now the big blind checks. So yeah, now we have a decision, like, are we thinking we can get called by an 8 by either player?
Maybe if we were heads up, I don't know.
Right, yeah, heads up.
I think the big blind would again. So like we're just assuming they're kind of more. Oh, big blind. You were saying was European.
Yeah.
So maybe has a little. You know, European. You always like start thinking, okay, maybe like
he's gonna check jam
tricks in their book. You know, against more normal players. I think the big blind would call a small bet with an 8 a fair enough time that it would make sense. And then also it's just kind of like the old fashioned, like kind of like makes it easier to define yourself, like where you are in the hand. So I think there is definitely some logic to betting what to betting small, but it is also kind of weird to oh no, like I could see, I could see like the 3 blind bet or something like that being reasonable, but for sure it's reasonable to check. I mean, it's definitely on the thinner side, and maybe against these kind of opponents doesn't even make sense. Yeah, I'm not I guess I'm a little scared to I just don't I think the combination like big blind, not like not big blind, button is not like a lock to bluff, like at all, So like if we check and button bets, I think I'm already like pretty scared that they have
Yeah.
that they have something. And then also it's like, just a normal player, like they're not taking like every bluff spot.
Mhm.
But it's always like the problem with these hands are like you try and separate it when you're analyzing it, but it wouldn't be discussed if it just like goes check here. Most likely.
That's true. It doesn't go
So
check,
it's
check,
like-
check.
Right. So like even like when people like analyzing and thinking of the hand to begin with, when you're asking your friends, and it's like hard, there's always a problem. Like you just know like the like basic stuff isn't discussed a lot. And so it's like it's really important, like when you are discussing with your friends, that you have friends that are like really critical thinkers, and like not trying to like so many of the people that I've associated with over the years are like trying to like guess the right thing, like compared to like what this spot is going to be, not
Yeah.
so much like what you would do in a vacuum, like assuming that 60% is just
something unusual is going to happen. So like, or at least difficult is going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I don't remember this hand. What the?
Okay, yeah. So I did check,
Yeah.
and yeah, I figured the button is gonna have like, I was hoping he was just gonna check, because then I feel like I'm almost certainly good.
So just to
Yes.
clarify, let me think. So without and not in well, I guess in order. So it's 8, 7, deuce, 3 spades, 7 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. Is that
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yeah, 48K in the middle at 3K blinds.
Yeah. So
So
check,
he
check.
bets
And
36K.
He 27K.
Okay.
And the big blind folds pretty quickly. And so now it's like, I was definitely in the spot where it's like, okay, I'm getting almost 3-1, but I also had that feeling of like, this isn't good. Like, it already feels like I'm not beating any value. Like,
Yeah.
There's a world where he flats like 9s and 10s pre, but is he gonna? That's pretty thin on
Yeah.
the river here.
Yeah.
And he checked flop, so
Yeah.
But I mean, if we think our opponent has just like a naked king of spades here as well.
right. And so that's also where, not to get too into blockers and stuff, but I'm like, okay, maybe having aces without this, like, sure, he can have the nut flush sometimes now, but also like he can have ace of spades, jack or 10 or whatever. So it's
Right.
like the fact that I don't have the ace of spades, I don't block value, but I also don't block bluffs. So I don't know if the lack of spade is as important as it might seem.
I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this ultimately comes down to, and I know it's only level one of the day, but there are just people that have bluffs in their range here, and there are a lot of people that like a very, very low frequency bluff here.
Yeah.
And if they have bluffs here, then you have to call. Like there's enough king and ace of spades
Mhm.
that with the odds and all that.
Or if they
Um,
overvalue something that, I'm saying that you're beating. It's like you said,
I
nines
think
and
I,
tens.
I don't think we have to worry about that too much from the starting with the flop
Mhm.
where we're discounting over pairs when they check
Check
last
back.
act.
That's fair.
And so I think from that flop and then just the fact that it was three ways on the turn, the combination of it all means that it's like pretty unlikely. Like, sure, is there an occasional, but I think overall, like from their river range here, I don't think you're gonna bump into too much of of you know hands that are slightly weaker than yours, kings or queens kind of thing. And also it's like, okay, like nines or tens, like pretty unlikely. And okay, as the pairs go up pre-flop, you start discounting also. It's not impossible to call with those hands, but some percentage of the time, those hands are going to start being three bet.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's kind of what I thought too. And so, yeah, it's like he could have some bluff hand. My impression is like he's probably slightly under bluffing. Like I don't know if he's gonna give up with that stuff sometimes, but I also know he's capable. Like it's not gonna be way under bluffed, but probably leaning slightly towards that side.
So again, like you're there, the person more than that, but the way you described the person at the beginning of the hand, which was like just like a more like average style person, maybe a little bit better than average, but not like a very good player. I'm gonna say that they're bluffing a lot less than you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I should say like
According to the book here, you probably are supposed to like bluff like a fair amount. You don't have showdown equity. There's like it makes some sense that you have a hand. Like, I don't think I think it's going to be under bluffed more than you're saying.
Intuitively to how you mentioned the
Okay.
character type, I kind of felt the same way.
Okay, so actually, so you would know, it was Tyler Colness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tico, yep.
And
Shout out Tyler. He probably listens to the podcast.
hopefully he is a Minnesota guy who I haven't played with a ton in like.
I'm folding.
You're folding.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
No,
gonna
you're.
say-
I'm
yeah,
folding.
okay, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a great player, but he's just a little bit tighter than you. He doesn't. It's not that he's not capable of bluffing. He's just not going to in this spot.
But he's
from-
he's from the same state as Blake Bone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then you gotta always call.
Actually, he might. I mean, he's like Fargo, which is North Dakota. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
The
Minnesota is
polar
one of-
opposite of Blake, by the way.
yeah. That's a bad stereotype to make. I know that if I assume everyone from Minnesota plays like him.
Oh yeah. No, I would
Yeah.
say if anything, it goes the opposite way.
Yeah, there's a reason why someone like him has been so successful, has adopted that strategy, is because it works very well. Yeah.
We've had him on this podcast. I'm not sure if you knew that.
I listened to it. Of
Oh,
course.
okay.
Yeah, no, I think so. You guys both have kind of the right read on this hand where I took a long time and I called I did not expect to see the hand he showed. He just had quad sevens.
Oh, he checked back.
He checked
Yeah.
back a set on the flop.
Yeah, I
So
would not have expected that either. Yeah.
yeah, my thought was like, this is gonna be I'm gonna see a nut flush here sometimes. Like that was kind of the value hand I was thinking. And I think there was one combo of ace seven suited possible. So I was like, maybe that, or if he flatted 6-7 suited, like there's one combo of that left too. But it's hard for him to show up with it. Like a 7 makes sense after the flop, but like what sevens is he gonna have? You know, so like
Yeah.
anyways, so
All right. I mean, that's an interesting hand, and I think that Ari brought up a lot of good points throughout the second. I think at the turn is where things kind of start getting interesting, because then we can start kind of trying to figure out where everybody's at. Yeah, Ari, thanks for taking the time to discuss that hand with us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, sweet. No,
Kind of
I
get
was
us a glimpse into your mindset. I know we're a little bit over the time we expected for this podcast, and I know you got a tournament to get to, so we'll start wrapping things up here. I did want to ask though, before we kind of wrap up here, what if you could give an amateur or someone who's aspiring to be a pro that isn't there yet, one good tip to use in the future to kind of help them navigate that, what would that be?
Okay, so like the real beginners who are not listening to your podcast, I tell them to play tighter. Like in the kind of games that they're going to play with, you play tighter. But the people listening to your podcast are next level. You know, even if they're more towards the beginner, they're next level beyond that. And I would say, as tournament players, the normal way people play is at the beginning they play too loose, and at the end they play too tight.
yep.
So I would say to try and do the opposite. At the beginning, everyone's like, "Oh, I have 30K, let's splash around." Like, you don't need to splash around. It's like people are like, "Well, I got a suit connected." Like, what, you think it's gonna come three spades and like aces
Not
are just
often.
gonna stack off like Wes barely called like 6 blinds on the river, you know, like
Yeah.
playing before calling, you know, like so yeah, so that's not happening. Just play like solid, and then at the end, like that's the time. Like, I'm not saying you need to be loose, but try not, and it's easier said than done, but try not to like clam up and be like too tight, and you know, just try and play your normal game, even though the stakes are bigger. That's something that I've always done probably too much, is be very conservative when it comes to bankroll management, not taking shots in tournament, because the natural way tournaments are is like you're playing a $50 tournament at the beginning. So like when 10% of the field is left, it's like kind of the equivalent of being in a $500 tournament. So like you don't need to take a shot at the beginning. Like it's gonna naturally be a shot as the tournament. You'll never be properly bankrolled to play a final table. So like, you know, if you keep the beginning as reasonable as possible, it makes it a lot easier to play at least halfway decent. You know, when all the money is on the line.
It's really well said. And I feel like one reason people sort of naturally tend to be super splashy at the beginning is because they see, they know how many chips you need to end up having even to make a somewhat deep run. And it's like, oh, well, I have to get all these chips somehow. Like I need to just spin it up right away, but then not like I remember a guy at a table said like, I want to have double the starting or double the average chip stack at every break. And I'm like, the best player in the world would never dream of having that goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just learn how to play well and do that the whole way, and that's a great point too, about the fact that you're never really going to be bankrolled for a final table that you make.
Yeah.
In a way.
I guess at this point we will go ahead and wrapping it up. Ari, is there anything, what do you got coming up? Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you've been working on?
No, I would say as you play more and more poker, and if you're finding it a little bit stale, gamble it up in a small blind PLO game or something like that. And
heads up with Ari.
yeah, ideally. When most of us refer to poker, we're talking about Texas Hold'em, but there's so many different varieties of poker out there. And if you like Texas Hold'em, there's a good chance that you would like a lot of the others, but you just have never, played them, at least since you got serious about No Limit. And so yeah, whether you can find like a small buy-in online game or something like that, there's so many different kinds, and a lot of people enjoy like them. So like maybe the reason I picked PLO is because it's kind of the most similar to No Limit, but like it doesn't have to be PLO. It can be like, there's stud games, there's draw games. I mean, I have a guy that I was like somewhat friendly with who just like stumbled into a draw game, and I'd always been scared of draw games until I started learning it in during COVID time. But yeah, now he's like, he only played No Limit, and now he like just like wants to. He's like kind of has an addictive style personality, but like he's like trying to get games going, draw games going online, like in this like private club for like $50 game, like all the time. Like he's like, I'll fly across country. Where is there a draw game? Like I just want to play in these draw tournaments. So like it's a super different vibe, and there's a good chance that you will you like poker, so there's a good chance that you're gonna like some of the other ones. And yeah, it's a little selfish because like I like the games and I want them to grow. So yeah, take it for what it's worth. But maybe you'll like it, experiment.
Well, sitting in one discipline or whatever you want to call it, one style of poker can get boring. And I think, like you said, mixing it up can give it even if you mix it up and try a new game and then come back to No Limit, it might brighten up that game for you as well.
It can make
Right,
you
that's true.
think
It can
about the
definitely,
game better too.
Yeah.
right. It can definitely help because like you're exposed to like different kind of thinking and ideas, and yeah, you can definitely take it back and and it can improve or give you fresh ways to experiment.
That's perfect. All right, guys. Well, I'll go ahead here and take this last moment to plug the Discord, Suited Kings Discord. If you haven't joined our Suited Kings Discord yet, go ahead, check out this at Suited Kings Pod, our pinned tweet. You can get access to our Discord. It's completely free. You can chat with all these different really good types of players. Start learning the game, make some new friends. So just go ahead and get in there. It's completely free. And Ari, so many thanks for coming and taking the time to let us ask you these questions to dig into how you look at the game we all love that are listening to this. And I just want to wish you a ton of luck. I know you're in Vegas right now, and good luck slapping them around today.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll catch you up soon. Until then, brother, hope you have a good day.